Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Veil, a show that provides insight into the world of people and events. I'm your host, Keith Willard. Welcome back to the show. We excuse a little bit of some of the visuals that you're seeing here because we've had some technical difficulties. So some of the settings are off. So I'm going to appear a little red probably from some of the conversations, but that may be part of the conversation or it may be part of the technical. We'll find out. And also my co-host is not able to be with us today because she twisted her ankle and is literally laid up in bed and not able to get to her camera. So she apologized. But today I'm really super excited because we're going to be talking about what is an event planner, because to be honest, as an event planner, sometimes I have a really hard time like expressing everything that I do to future clients, even in actually current clients. And our guest today, Marley Measure, is like one of my favorites, and she is the owner of the Party Goddess. And since I don't have a co-host to bring on, I'm going to just go ahead and bring her on. Hi, Marley. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. And, I can do co-host and I say co-host and host, Freudian slip. I meant I can be co-host and guest very easily. It's like, hi, Marley, would you like to introduce yourself? Sure. Let me tell you.
Just because you're one of those planners that always says what's on our mind. You're obviously very do a great job at what you do. I mean, some of your like name drops. I mean, I'll name drop for you. Britney Spears name drop. It's just incredible, like what you've done with your career, and also being very true to yourself. It's like my goal.
I'm unfortunately very true. I am unfortunately, especially this week, I've had a couple scenarios where I'm like, I might be a little too true. My truth might be a little acidic.
Oh, no such thing. No such thing.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so let's get into this, because when people ask me, like, first of all, do I need a wedding planner? That's always the number one question. Do you think I really actually need a wedding planner? And the answer is always yes, because I don't think anybody has the time to do what it takes in order to put on a wedding these days by themselves. And the second thing is, well, what do you do? And I'm like, a little bit of everything. I'm going to make sure that all of your vendors are up to date, that I review all of your contracts, that I handle all of your transportation, that I take care of your wedding blocks, that yada, 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 yada. Do you have like a short answer to that question? Like, what do you do?
I have short answers to nothing, as you know. I can make it as short as possible, and then you tell me where you want to elaborate. But my first thing that I like, and like, what is an event planner or what is a wedding planner, is thinking it like a contractor when you're redoing your house, right? So think about it. If you gut your house, then guess what? You're going to have painters, and you're going to have interior design issues. And then you're going to have plumbing. You're going to have electrical. You're going to have structural. You're going to have an art design, exterior design stuff. You're going to have landscape. You're going to have sprinklers. You're going to have all those things. Do you want to be the expert in sprinklers and electrical and plumbing and whatever, so that you feel confident that you're going to know that the bids you just got from the plumber are good, and that the bids you just got from... No, of course you can't possibly. I mean, the return. And so it's a matter of return on investment, and return on an ROI and ROS, return on sanity, because you cannot possibly. I've never seen it happen in my lifetime, in any country in the world. Right. Enjoy your wedding and also plan it. It's not possible because you don't do it all the time. And the only people that don't need wedding planners, I'm not saying everybody needs the full, service wedding planner to lick their stamps, if you've been licking anymore. But I am saying that for the big pieces, people who don't need a wedding planner are the people who are getting married in a forest, like with the priest or whatever, virtually, I guess, marrying them, because then there's no logistics. You can't have any guests because stuff that could go wrong. You can't want to eat yourself. Right. So as long as that's the case, or as long as your standards are so low, or as long as everybody is going to be on some sort of mood altering substance where they're not going to notice, then I guess
that's a Friday.
You don't need a planner. I guess we come up with some people that don't need it. I would rather like pull my teeth out one by one, knowing what I know. It scares me to death every time I hear somebody say they're not, I'm like, oh my God, for you. Okay, whatever.
Well, because I think that's the big thing is that you don't know what you don't know. And when people are, getting into the idea of wedding planning, and it's always funny because I don't know what it is about room blocks, but it always seemed to be at the moment when people have to deal with room blocks that they all of a sudden go, oh wait, maybe I do need somebody because I don't understand any of what they just said to me.
Or you sign off on a room block, which sounds great. The hotel pitches you. You say, absolutely. All these people are coming from out of town. You forget half of them are cheap suckers and are not going to take advantage of, even though it's the most amazing price for the room block, are still going to shop on their own, are still going to, then guess what? That's going to dilute your room block. Or room block's kind of a 2-night minimum. They're only going to want to stay 1 night. Guess what? That's not going to count. But you do not have experience reviewing room block contracts. And there's 1,000 gotcha clauses. And so you realize I have just signed off that I'm only going to get this pricing. I'm only going to get this blocks. I'm only going to get this if I produce X number of rooms, revenue, whatever the terms of the agreement are. And then it's the day before the room block is due or something, the final, and you're like, oh my God, I guess I'm just going to be booking rooms for my kid. I don't know, like anybody need a room because you got to fill up that, you're contractually obligated. So, but how would you know until it's like you've had that call or that email from the hotel where you're like, wait, like what do you mean my room block confirmations due? It's like, the wedding is in 2 weeks. Like, I'm new.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things as a wedding planner, it's hard when a client goes, well, but you're a wedding planner, so you're trying to tell me why you are needed as a professional. And I'm like, no, I'm just, usually my first phone call with the couple is not to like sell myself. I want to hear what they've done. I want to hear where they plan to go, and then give them some ideas of like what the red flags to look out for. Because, even if they don't book with me, I still want to make sure that I've done my due diligence and that they can't come back to me and say, well, you could have warned us, kind of thing. I don't know. I always feel bad. I don't know why.
Here's the deal. Some of us feel like, we are called to be in businesses that we love. Right. And so you're certainly, yes. Do you want to make money? Of course. Yes. Yeah. Do you, but you also do it because you love it. Because if you didn't love it, you couldn't be in this business.
No. There's no way.
It's not possible. So then you feel like you have a moral obligation. So somebody's telling you all these things. It's kind of like it's kind of like a bunch of 7-year-olds telling you they're going to go run in front of the train. You feel morally obligated to be like, the train won't be able to stop. You don't realize this now. Take my word for it. So to a certain extent, my answer is I'm trying to sell you, if you want to use the word, on having a wedding plan. I'm not necessarily trying to sell you on me. Because this is why this first conversation is got to be a joint thing.
Yeah,
because
good.
I don't want to, and I will flat out say earlier in my career, you are correct. I probably would have taken anything that came down the road. But at this point in my career, it is the worst idea possible for me to work with somebody who doesn't get it, doesn't value what I do. It's going to be like it's pushing water uphill because I'm in demand in a million other places. So this has got to be a give and take. That's why it's literally an interview. I've got to see what your needs are and what you value things. And we need to be on the same page conceptually. I mean, there are people out there who believe you don't have to have insurance, right? There are people who don't, in California, we all thought we had wildfire insurance. No, we had fire insurance.
There's a difference?
Didn't check for
There's a difference.
Wildfire. There are wildfire exclusions. Okay.
Oh, you're kidding me.
In God's green land.
Never.
You wouldn't. But do you want to be the person with the house that just burned down and then you find out, you had a wildfire? No. But we also have to realize there's some people you just can't help. And so that goes to being how important it is that we have our ideal client avatar, right? And that the referral of the resource from which they find us, like that matters, because there's no point in at all trying to convince anybody that you're worth it if they don't see the value in the whole concept.
Right.
I mean, I can't, if somebody, like, why do you think they have State Farm and commercials and all those things with, like, the dad is the, water's dripping from the fire, or the, life alert after I've fallen and I can't get up, and then they keel over in the shower stall, or those are designed to show you these things actually happen. Now, if you choose to say, no, I'm going to save the $1,000 this year, I'm going to knock yourself out.
Yeah, not $1,000
go wrong.
Right.
I mean, like, I can't even tell you how many weddings I know where they didn't get their photo. Like, the photos alone can be just such a nightmare.
I literally just heard about this, where a photographer was saying that the bride and groom forgot to get a photo of her first dance with her dad, because nobody reminded her, and she didn't put it on her sheet, and she totally forgot about it. And there wasn't a planner there to remind her, hey, you got, father-daughter dance. And she's kicking herself forever, because you can't recreate that moment. It's done. It's over. It's gone. So if there's not somebody there helping you, then you've just lost it.
Her only hope is that she has a falling out with her father. She can say, freaking A, that douche anyway. I didn't have to come across him in the photos. That's the only way this gets repaired. There's no other way. But that is an option. I mean,
but planners are, the sad thing is that I feel like planners are now kind of a dime a dozen, because we talked about this offline. It's that, anybody with a business card that did their sister's wedding can now call themselves a wedding planner. And I'm like, no, you're not a wedding planner. What you did is you worked with probably a really good hotel, or you worked with a really good vendor who made it feel super easy, but they were still doing the work behind the scenes. Because
what you are is a cat fisher. That is what you are. You are cat fishing someone.
Yes.
Believing just because you have a voice and a whatever that you are somehow a wedding planner.
Right.
That is not, and anyone who's listening to this, who's the potential client, it's like, you have to do your due diligence. Like, this catfishing stuff, like, I'm kind of joking, but I'm not.
No.
It happens. I mean, how many times have we heard that Airbnb or the Taylor Swift tickets that somebody purchased that weren't Taylor Swift tickets at all, right? Like, that's why you don't purchase them from scalpers, why you purchase them from Ticketmaster or somewhere that, yes, you're going to pay a premium, but guess what? You're going to get the tickets to the concert.
Right.
Like, this just happened to my daughter's friend. They they even thought they did their due diligence. They thought they were getting them legitimately. Sure enough, night before, 3 tickets, no Taylor.
No.
First world problems, right? It's not, nobody's, going to die because of it, but there's a reason these platforms and our platforms exist. And me, you do your, you find out all the potential wedding disasters, of which there are 5 million. And then guess what? It's not as if a planner has to be $1 million either. I think that's kind of a misconception. You can find somebody out there who will do it and is good. Maybe they're not going to do every single thing for you and coordinate the design of the florals. But if it were a difference between having somebody who's at least kind of watching your back,
right,
and having just an extra dessert buffet, I would.
Well, but that can get confusing, because there are so many different package levels now in the industry. There's everything, because most hotels now or most venues are asking for at least a day of quote unquote person, and really, which is a logistics person. I mean, that's just somebody there just to make sure that the vendors are coming in, that they have their certificates of insurance, that they, that they've done their background on them, but they're not really there to protect the client on price point or contract negotiations or any of those things. Client,
that's there to protect the venue. Let's be very clear.
It's totally there to protect the venue.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other part of this, is that some of the venues are now, so like, there's catering managers that want to make the sale, and they're saying, look, I'll do I'm going to be your planner for you. I'm going to help guide you through all of this and make sure that you have a seamless experience. But I always say to couples, I'm like, but they work for somebody else. They don't work for you. They work for the hotel. And so if you want somebody that works for you, that answers to you, then you need to hire them. You need to pay them. That's the choice.
And by the way, the quote planner that's with the venue or whatever,
right?
There are things that you bring from outside. They are not going to start calling like your DJ to confirm, hi, I'd like to make sure, sir, you understand your pants need to be above the crack line. I can't tell you how many times I've had that happen. Hello, ma'am. The dress code for waiters was this, and this.
Right.
Grandma from Minnesota or wherever is coming in, I apologize, but the nose ring with the visible nipple ring protruding through the shirt doesn't
When did you wait? Were you at my last wedding? I feel like you just saw me.
Here's the thing. Everybody thinks like no one would do that. That would never happen. I'm here to tell you it happens when I'm standing there.
Yep.
I literally did a job 2 weeks ago. This could take up the whole podcast. So
I love it. No. I love this. I love this.
And I sent out drink recipes, specialty, like this is basically an XYZ drink, but it will be named this drink. Okay.
Right.
So that nobody gets priced. Here's how much alcohol and whatever, all the quantities we're buying. Do you see that we've missed anything, including any kind of twist?
Right.
Is the luge, here's the client wants one side to be brown drinks and one side to be clear beverages. Listen, I might not care because I'm so drunk if I mix bourbon with my vodka, but the client does, right?
Right.
I cannot, it was like, okay, it's a black tie button down, black shirt button down with the straight black tie.
Right. Beautiful.
Freaking girl in the lace top with the necklaces, with the hair flowing. I'm like, okay,
no,
you might live in Venice Beach and that would work. You're at a very high-end event where, by the way, your boss signed off. This is not like, oh, whoops, where we had a walkthrough. We had a vendor code of conduct. Vendor, and I said to the I go, what do you want me to do here?
Right.
Like, you guys signed up. This is not my problem, but it is my problem now. Right.
Yes.
Now, if you are a client, like if you're bride or groom that doesn't care about any of those details, doesn't care if the buffets, the tongs or whatever on the buffet thing look like, they came from,
burger
place, then great. I can't stomach that kind of stuff. Like, the details matter.
The details matter. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, I when a bride says to me, but my bridesmaids are going to help me do my centerpieces. And I'm like, well, and I'm like, yeah, I said, first of all, that's not going to happen. They won't help you with their centerpieces. They're going to be too drunk because that's just how it works. And you need a florist. You need professionals in your life. If you're willing to spend this kind of money on this kind of venue, then back it up with all the other things. Don't try to cheap out.
If you are looking to cut something, I would be happy. Because I say this all the time to my clients. Like I said, I get it. It's a lot of money and it's not my money.
Right.
But if you need to cut X amount, give me a ballpark about what you think you want to cut.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to go through and start, I'm going to say, listen, you don't need 5 hors d'oeuvres per person for an hour cocktail hour. Or I'll say, you've got a 90-minute cocktail hour. Let's shorten it to 60 minutes. Let's go from 7 per person to 4. You just start going down the line. And guess what? You can, a good planner can find that money for a client in 5 seconds. And then basically redistribute.
Does that actually work against, though? I mean, when you talk about like the food choice, like recently I just had a wedding and I knew this caterer. I knew, and the caterer is not very good at making sure everybody has enough food. And so I'm like, you're gonna have to add. And, unfortunately, we're only allowed to use this caterer at this particular venue. They had an exclusive there, and I'm like, you picked the venue. I warned you about this, but now you're going to need to add food because you're not going to have enough food.
Okay, now pause. Thank God you were there to say that. And those are the nuances. And so of course, in that case, you're going to add. What I'm talking about is logistical decisions that you can make.
Yeah.
So like shortening a cocktail time or making an event start later. So the expectations of a 4-course meal aren't there. Or a planner could say, let's switch the day. Hey, you're going to get married on a Saturday night like everybody else. How about we switch to a Friday of XYZ, not Friday night of a holiday weekend. We're going to get X amount off on the venue, right? Yep. Like, those are things where you can save money and it's no problem. So I'm not saying, hey, listen, make sure you undercount the guests and try to, bring in your own crew meals. I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is where you can make suggestions where you can say, hey, listen, nobody's really going to care that it's not a 90-minute cocktail hour, that go to 60. People who still want to have whatever a canapé can have it out there, but let's start moving them in. And then that automatically changes, the trajectory and the expectations of the rest of the event.
How do you deal with, and this is totally a personal question because and this recently came up in some dealings that I was working with, where it felt like the client was putting the responsibility of somebody else on me. Like they were upset about the price point, even though I had already warned them about what the price point was going to be. And I'm like, look, it's not my business. I don't set their price point. I'm here to just give you advice about what is going to happen and where the price point is. But at the end of the day, you booked them separately and you were fully aware of the contract and then made sure that. So how do you get that responsibility off of you as a planner in a proper way? It's like
you just need my secret weapon, which is what I do now, unfortunately, for everything, whether it's employees, clients, whatever.
Right.
So let's say a client, because sometimes it happens, right? Especially if a client says, hey, I want to do this. And you say, I really wouldn't recommend that. That band is notorious for running late, not showing up, whatever it is.
Right.
But they want to do it anyway. So I always say at the beginning of my planning process, certain things we're going to talk about, or let's say I'll say on the conversation about the band or the vendor that they were going to choose.
Right.
And so I'll say, listen, they are notorious for coming in with a low bid and adding on a lot of extra stuff, or they are notorious for having, and they'll say, well, too bad, I still want to do it. Now, what I try to say in my planning conversations, just so we're all on the same page, is I'll say, hey, listen, I'm going to send you and my team, because they need to know what we discussed, a recap of what we went over today and the action items. If there's anything that's not that I missed or is just you disagree with, obviously let me know. And then I put in there. I'm not dramatic. It's just, you put the bullet points, entertainment. We discussed blah, 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 advised the client they're notorious for this and that. Client decided to proceed. And then you put, some things like client to sign contract directly with them, client to sign contract and make payments directly to them,
So then it's in writing it's there.
In writing. And by the way, you're not doing it in writing going, they're not putting no, you are genuinely doing a service. You're recapping the whole thing, because sometimes a client will come back and be like, don't forget, we also talked about you were going to add a boutonniere, and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Or you're having the call with the client while you're driving. You're taking all the notes, right? Yeah. And then your assistant, who's the one who's got to add to the floral order, you didn't tell, but now you've got this whole thing. And then I love emails like that. I always put them in bullet points, because then they act for me as a checklist, and then I go back through.
Right.
So the goal is not, we wouldn't be in this industry. We're not trying for a gotcha game, but we do have to be practical, that it's okay.
And that's what I mean. I feel like sometimes our client, they get into this like, oh, you're trying to get me. And I'm like, no, my job is to protect you. My whole job is to protect you. And I guarantee you, I brought this up. And and thank God, we did with this particular caterer. I did a budget analysis of like 6 different venues and was very specific and notes for each one. And I was luckily able to go back to that. And I said, so FYI, you remember when we had our initial conversation, and it's on your budget notes about why I wouldn't have picked this venue.
And by the way, easiest thing ever, another like pro tip. I use that because I freaking hate that phrase, but I just have well, is that if you're worried, you get off the phone. There's an app called Temi. I think it's free. My new thing now when I'm working out, when I'm walking the dog, when I'm whatever, is I will data dump everything into Temi, which is, it's like basically like a voice recording, right?
Right.
I'll label it about, whatever subject it is or project. You just hit transcribe. Temi transcribes it, so you barely have to write the damn email. You just get the transcription back, cut and paste with all the notes, and you're like, thanks so much.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I think that's amazing. So, but I'm going to go back to another thing. When we talk about, couples needing to be able to do their due diligence when it comes to wedding planners, how do they start that? I mean, if you're a couple and you've never gotten married or done an event, how do you even start? I mean, how do you find a way? I mean, I know venues have their list and, you can go to the Knot and et cetera. I mean, but where does a typical client go to find like a good list of people?
Well, okay. So there are a couple ways to do it. My new thing with everything, and I should be a paid professional, but unfortunately I have no compensation whatsoever for saying this, but everything I do now, I run through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I assign the role to ChatGPT and I say, hi, you are my, wedding professional, and I need to hire a wedding planner and a bunch of other vendors. What are some, and I'm going to be getting married in Los Angeles, California, an XYZ date. What are some of the top, making this up, planners, whatever,
really?
where I could start? Please give me a minimum of 3 in each category, right? So
Right.
I always start with asking the free instantaneous ChatGPT question.
I would have never asked that. I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bonus ChatGPT question is, if you were me asking your AI tool for recommendations on this subject, what questions would you ask? That's the get out of jail free card. It'll tell you, I would be asking this. And I'm telling you, one of the times I did this, I just wanted to see if it would work.
Yeah.
We do a lot of TV stuff, right? We had to do this. My publicist came to me and said, hey, I need these things to pitch a producer for a Barbie TV segment, right? And so I was like,
right.
Oh, I knew what I was going to pitch, but I was like, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT and I was like, how's ChatGPT even going to know? Oh my gosh. Ideas. Now, by the way, did I steal them from ChatGPT? No.
Of course. Oh, no? I would have.
Listen, I got a couple great ideas, and then guess what? But I didn't need to steal them. They sent an idea where they were like, do XYZ in pink. Well, that gave me another idea to do this. Something about it gave me the idea to do a Barbie box. Now, I was like, oh my gosh, where have I been all my life?
I love a Barbie box. Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea.
Like a Barbie box. So number one, ask ChatGPT. Okay. That's
amazing.
Number two, literally Google, how do I find an event plan, the best event planner in my area? What do I look for in an event planner? What are some wedding disasters that can come up? Blah, blah. Now, the other magic bullet question is, what I wish I knew, you put it in quotes, what I wish I knew before I hired an event planner or wedding planner.
Right.
And you will see blog posts, Reddit, the whole world will be very happy to tell you every possible thing to look for. Make sure this is in their contract. Make sure. The other thing I always say is when you start, you say to them, you want 3 references of projects, weddings, events, whatever they are, that are similar to yours. If they balk at all,
then bye.
Next, right out the gate, you must say, I'm going to need to be named, or my fiance and I, or whatever, our trust are going to need to, I don't care if your trust consists of you and your dog and your, the pennies in your whatever shoes.
Right.
You say, I'm going to be named additionally insured. I need to be named additionally insured. Is that going to be an issue for you? They'll say no. And then you follow up with, or hopefully they'll say no. And then you follow up with, okay, what kind of insurance limits, what kind of limits do you carry?
Right.
Now, if they are a planner worth their salt, you ask me that I can spit out this XYZ per occurrence. Is that sufficient? Do I need to bump it up? By the way, if you need to bump it up, I also know it's not a big deal to bump it up. Anybody who acts like it's a big deal or who can't answer the questions of what are the limits of their insurance or what does it cover, et cetera, run.
It's true though. You know, it's amazing how many times you hear somebody that they like, what do you mean I need a certificate of insurance? I'm like, seriously? You cannot be in this town without having a COI going to somebody somewhere at some point. Just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Here's the other thing too that I've started doing, that because it was, you know, okay, you also kind of assume that most people are paying their taxes. I don't know. I do. At the very least, that most people know they're supposed to pay them. Okay.
Right.
So, but then what would happen is, if to file your tax returns, at least in the US, if you're going to issue payment to vendors or whatever, that I think the threshold is $650 or something, you have to have a W-9 on file. Okay. Well,
right.
Always for me, I'll be honest, you get busy, you forget to ask for the W-9. Now it's after the fact, you've paid them, you got to chase them, etc. Well, now what I do is the very first thing I do when I want to book a vendor is we have a little Google form, and I just send them a link, and it's called "Please Pay Me," and it says, because guess what? They see that, and they're like, "I want to send out the "Please Pay Me" thing because everybody wants to get paid. You'll get it in 10 seconds." And it says, their name, their company name, their contact info. By the way, very helpful if you need somebody for the day of and you can't freaking find the DJ with the pants down the, and then they put their address, and then I don't have them give any sensitive information, but I have them check off, are you a, individual, like S Corp, whatever.
Right.
And then it says on there, like, individual must also complete confidentiality agreement and W-9. Now, whether you want them to complete a confidentiality agreement, I always do, because I don't want anybody running their mouths about anything. But at the very least, W-9 already teed up in something called EchoSign or, Adobe, whatever it's called now, DocuSign. You do not get off the dime without them providing you your W-9.
Right.
I cannot tell you. Even this event 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thrilled with the vendors. My assistant's like, oh my God, they're amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm so excited. And then it's like, I heard ones I never heard in my life. She's an American Indian. And due to tribal regulations, does not have to provide her W-9, and the taxes are, quote, different because of her situation.
I'm sorry. I smell bullshit. I'm sorry.
Indians have to pay taxes, right? Okay, then I said, well, that's great. So then I was like, because normally I'd be like, oh gosh, okay, well, she's so great, I have to hire her, and maybe that's true. So then I put, no problem. Have her please complete that on the W-9 and say, I don't have to pay taxes so that at least I can say to the IRS,
yep,
at least you can go find this girl who is tribal and doesn't pay taxes. But it's just, I can't tell you how many times every event that happens where they'll say, oh, well, I only gave you that price because I thought you weren't going to declare it, or I thought you weren't going to, and you're like, and
wait, so was that true, by the way? Was that actually a true thing?
Garbage. And guess what? Imagine a few days later when I said to my sister, we can't hire her. I said, I'm not playing games like this. This is all I need.
Right.
And then before we knew it, oh, I got the confidentiality agreement and the W-9 signed. Is it okay? And I said, I don't even want to know.
Nice.
But so just also plan on that, because remember, if you don't have that stuff as a business owner, or another vendor doesn't want to provide it, then you can't deduct. I mean, I'm not an accountant. I'm not speaking like one. I'm just saying,
you
got to have certain backup to pay your vendors and then show that you have collected their information so that the government gets paid as well. But it's just amazing to me how much of that stuff starts bubbling up when it's like time for payment to be due. And you're just like, Did you not think, like, I'm writing you a company check? Of course I need to deduct this.
So,
Like,
so you sound like you should be teaching classes.
yeah, I should.
See what I did there? See what I did there?
Yeah. My Celsius, and I put that down. Thank you very much.
Right, but yeah. I mean, because it does. I mean, there's a lot of information that's going into this. A lot of information that not even just from the client side, but from the planner side. Yeah. That, you know, because a lot of the stuff we've learned over years and years and years, right. And if there was a place that I could have gone to just learn it from the very beginning, I think that would have been really amazing. So aren't you doing something with that? Some type of class?
What we were sidebarring about when we were chewing the fat, thank you.
Yes.
Is that we're talking about, like, oh, hey, what's coming up? And for the first time in, I think, like, probably like 4 years, certainly before the pandemic, I am going back to, like, my teaching roots, because I wrote a book called But Are You Making Any Money? And it was about basically solving my own business problems. Right. And it is all about the principles in my book. I'm launching in January, launching the course in January. So the easiest thing to do, if you want it, you'll find out about it if you get on our mailing list. But the fun thing is we have a productivity quiz that you can take, and you can find out how productive you are. And most importantly, you find out, like, what cocktail you are, like, in terms of the productivity situation. And so you just text the word quiz, QUIZ. Yeah, it's great. There's, like, you can be a vodka and Red Bull. You can be all these other things. And then one of them.
Oh, shoot. I really want to do it just because I want to find out what kind of cocktail I have.
And somebody's like, what kind are you? And I'm like, obviously a vodka and Red Bull. Like, the thing that's so funny is one of them, we were testing it and my assistant was putting in just, like, random answers. And literally it came back and it was like, you're a hot mess of all. I mean, it was like, I don't even remember saying that, but okay. But anyway, you text quiz to this one phone number, which is 818-600-0881. And so all you do is text the word quiz, like literally like you're texting your friend. And you go to 818-600-0881 and you find out what cocktail you are. And it's got like 10 questions. It's fun and it's super easy. It's all about productivity, but and it tells you, like, your strengths and your weaknesses and, like, oh, you know, hot stuff, you got a lot to work on. So,
I just did it, by the way. Just did it. I did. It just popped right up. Oh, yay. Thanks for texting the prophet goddess. Love it. Yeah. Okay. I love that.
I love it. Cool. So, yeah, you'll find out about my launch, but I'm so excited about this product because it's a digital product, like training stuff. But the thing that I love is that, you know, as planners or most businesses, you know, what you learn, right? You learn either having made the mistake yourself or you learn because I go, oh my God, Keith, don't forget this scam or this whatever is out there. And so then, so you hear because we talk to each other. And it's the same thing, like clients, great. You ask for, you know, you want to find an event planner, ask your friends who they've used or who they would for sure not use. So it's a referral piece. But to me, it's nice every once in a while. I don't care if you've been in business for 30 years or you've been in business for 3 years. To me, it's really nice to just come back to the classroom kind of thing and to not the physical classroom, but just back to the basics of, like, step-by-step best practices, step-by-step stuff that's going to save you time. Like, oh, this is my hack for, you know, I hate typing stuff. I do it all the time. I have a billion emails. But if I can, now that I have Temi that I dictate everything to, I can't even tell you, it's changed my life. So it's like you just get a couple hacks and you're like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. And then you just
makes your life easier. Yeah, just makes it easier.
That you can rely on, right? Where you can just go, wait, did that happen to you? Because I don't know about you, but I've been in business. I don't even know how long, way too long, not enough Botox. But I've been in business. Like, and you don't know what you don't know. And then B, if you did make a mistake, half the time you feel like you're the only one and the biggest idiot who made the mistake. Right. And sometimes it's nice to know, girl, you think that was a mistake? Let's talk about the time I got sued but guess what? I'm going to make sure this does not happen to you. And so anyway, for people that it appeals to them, or, you know, you want to chew the fat like this for an hour every week.
I'm just saying, it's like going to an AA meeting. You think you were drunk? Wait.
Oh, hey. I'm a preacher. And I went in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, that makes you feel a little better about all the mistakes that you've made. I
Well,
totally get it. That's funny.
it's hilarious too for me on my coaching calls. Like, and people, by the time they get on a coaching call or start working with me for something,
Yeah.
they've already got a running start, right? But it always amazes me with like, I'm really embarrassed to say this. And I'm always like, this is the days before everything was like on camera and Zoom. And I'm just like, oh, this should be really good. Like, what happened?
Right. Tell us. Right.
One time my account was overdrawn and I'm like, $100. Let's talk about when the bank is calling you at 10:30 and saying, get here by noon, you're 23 grand overdrawn. Like now I'm $100 and like I could like
oh my God.
Very old eggs and figure that problem, right? So sometimes you have to just like,
oh no,
just because there's so much shame, right? Sometimes we're just
right.
like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. How could I do that? And then we beat ourselves up. Instead, just be like, hey, and somebody else goes, oh my God, don't even like focus on something else. Like leave that story behind. Let's get to bigger and better things. What do you
Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the process. Oh my God. Sometimes we just beat ourselves up so much as individuals because we don't really see outside of our circle. And I think that's a disservice to ourselves. It really is.
Right. And that's why loneliness and all these things and after the pandemic, and that's why, depression and all, everybody's jumping off bridges at a drastically higher rate. Because we're not connecting with people, right? We're not saying, hey, like I need help. I don't feel like myself. Like something's wrong. Like, am I stressing too much about this client? Or like the client's making me feel like I did all these things wrong? And I know I told them this, or I know Well,
my favorite part is when a client questions me on my knowledge and I'm like,
oh, I love that.
Why are you questioning me when I'm trying to make sure you have the best day possible? And then they make a bad choice. And then I'm like, guys, you made the wrong choice there. I'm just telling you, listen to me, listen to what I'm saying. This is a very bad idea. I mean, I've luckily I've gotten much more like, not boisterous, but upfront with that kind of, because before I used to be a little shy. I'd be like, oh no, I'll make it work no matter what they say or what. And now I'm like, this is a bad idea. Do not do this. It is a bad idea.
And here's why. And what I always start with is like, hey, listen, my job is to get you to make informed decisions, right? We're all adults. It's your money. Ultimately, you're in charge. You're my boss. I'm going to give you the pros and cons, and then I will execute what you tell me. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be an extra cost to execute it if it goes wrong,
right?
Et cetera, et cetera. But my job is just to, in some ways, it's like a lawyer, to advise you
and protect you as much as I can.
And to protect you as much as I can. But I can't get you out of your own way. But I can just say, hey, listen, these are some things to consider. If you do this, and this, you sign a contract and send over your credit card without it being secured via password, you might have a problem.
Oh my God, Marley, I could talk to you like for hours and hours. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I still want to talk to you about, because then we're going to have to have you back on because my brain's going a million different ways. But I want to go back to just let's a little full circle here is that they're going to text the word quiz to 818-600-0881, right? QUIZ. I did it myself live on the show. It works. Believe me. I know. I'm
so glad, so I don't have to be like my assistant.
No. I checked it while we were and it works. And then if people wanted to reach out to you, like individually, your Instagram at the Party Goddess.
Yes, please, at the Party Goddess, and please like, comment, follow us if you feel comfortable, because we have been massively working on our Instagram, and we are really trying to up our game. And I'm happy to say finally it is working. And that's kind of my little like pet project right now. So that's an easy place. That's an easy place to find me. And and as I say, and share stuff and be like, oh my God, I just saw the coolest blah, 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 at this event. Like, please share. I love that kind of stuff. Or, hey, listen, I just heard you on the podcast with Keith, and I want to tell you about a great planner who does XYZ. Always share that stuff with us.
I love that.
Vendor, say, listen, I heard you and I want to get on your vendor list or whatever. We really try to spread the love, and with, quality clients, quality vendors, and ideas, and let's just make each other's lives easier. Like,
yeah, right. To your mouth, to your spirit goddess's ears. Oh my God.
All of them. Jesus. No one is excluded.
Okay, Marley, thank you. We're gonna definitely have you back on. Probably, obviously it'll probably be in the beginning of next year because the way this year is going. But
I get it. Remember, I'm always happy to be sloppy seconds, as I told you. They're like, oh, well, we'll have to have you back. And I go, I'm available next week. And remember, I'm always like 15 minutes hair and makeup away from jumping into that spot. So,
oh my God. And hopefully Marcy will be able to join us next time. But thank you again.
You are welcome. And Godspeed to that ankle situation of hers. And this was so fun. Thank you for doing what you do and putting all this time and effort into sharing all these great tips with everybody. You guys have no idea how much work goes into this room. So.
You're so sweet. Okay, so we'll see you next Tuesday at 2:00. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye. Bye.